I'm Suzanne Clegg. A little introduction. I'm an acupuncturist, a registered dietitian, nutritionist, an herbalist, a sound healer. I've been doing holistic healing and been a professional at it for about 40 years. More than that now. And I've had tons of Western biomedical training, and in addition to all the energy work training, including having 4 years of graduate school in neurophysiology. So I feel like I have a nicely trained mind. Some people call me brilliant, and I guess I am in some ways. But I used to work in hospitals. I used to work in rehab centers, being a nutritionist, being an acupuncturist. But for the last many years, I've worked in private practice. And then a little while ago, I left my sticks and bricks and decided that I wanted to get 100 cancer cures. And if I was going to do that, I had to get very happy. And the thing that made me the happiest was walking in nature. It was just a reliable hit of happiness. And so I'm doing that now. Don't want to go into that too much. But now I work from my RV. I'm in it right now. And I work over Zoom, and I train friends and family members of people and pets with cancer how to treat it. They do 99% of the work. I coach them so that their work is effective, so that they do it, and it's a lot of fun. And so why this group? Again, I want to get 100 cancer cures, and I don't care if you've had chemo, if you haven't had chemo. But the way I defined me helping is that the doctors are surprised, like, oh, that doesn't make any sense. And I can do that with nutrition. There's some really simple supplemental things that I know how to do that can really keep the chemo from killing you and let it do its job. And then there's always the energy medicine that I include just about always with my patients. So you're helping me with my professional goal by being here. So thank you for being here. Whether you're a patient or whether you're a caretaker of somebody with cancer or you're here for some other ailment, welcome. I try to make this accessible to the very beginner who doesn't know much about my work, with the thing that sometimes it takes a couple attendances to kind of get the gist of it. I'll be talking for a few more minutes. The purpose of the talking is to get us thinking about something similar. And so rather than everybody thinking about a pink elephant for 10 minutes, I might as well. It's easier to tell a story and talk about an idea, and that creates a resonant bond with us. And one of the observations of Bill Bengston is that groups seem to enhance distance healing. So, and a possible mechanism that is resonance. And since I'm a sound healer and I know a lot about resonance, that's why I'm talking right now, is so that we can be kind of just getting in trained. You don't have to believe what I say, but you can be considering what we're saying. And while I'm talking, maybe just be aware of everybody else joining and things like that. So, let's see. Okay, so I use many modalities to help my cancer patients. I'm way more than a Bengston practitioner, although I feel like I'm very, very good at that. And for this group, I use a very simplified spinning meditation that anybody can do practically instantly. Doesn't mean it's the same as the Bengston at all. It just means that we can do it without any preparation. So I'm going to be I'm going to be asking that you spin a disc or a ball of light while you're here. So I'd like us all to start doing that. Okay? And you can put the disc, I like to put it behind me. I like beginners to put it behind you, because it puts it into this part of you that you're not trying to manage. It's just happening. It's a spinning ball of light behind you. And I learned this a million years ago, like before even college, when I was in my 20s, maybe my teens, I don't know. Anyway, I had a propeller spinning above my head, and I took away somebody's pain. So this is a classic technique that's been used for a long time. If you happen to know Bengston's rapid image cycling and his whole thing, you can of course do that at the same time. But my intention is not to train you in that right now. I would do that if we were working privately. All right, so anything else about the intro? Yeah, so the spinning is simple. If you want me to tweak your technique, am I doing it enough? Is this enough for me? Do I need to do something else? You can schedule a complimentary Get Acquainted call with me. You can read my website. There's the fees there. There's the frequently asked questions about cancer in the website and on YouTube. And yeah, all right, so that's the intro. So the topic for today is emotions. And emotions, a lot of people think that emotional trauma is the cause of all cancer. And I would say that emotional trauma accompanies cancer, but I'm not so sure it's always the cause. I just think in terms of a hologram. Sometimes there's a spiritual cause. Sometimes there is a physical cause, like radiation or toxins. But it seems like they all come together, the physical, the life force, the emotions, and the spiritual. It's like you can't have one cause without, I think, a bunch of other things intertwined. However, we can kind of take apart the emotional part of emotional trauma and just focus on it, knowing that we're actually helping all that other stuff too. All right, so 3 common emotional attitudes towards cancer that I think can actually impair the healing if you don't do them right. I don't want you to not feel these things. That would be a way to not do it right. But you can actually have emotional blocks to actually taking actions that will help you. And the 3 that are common, there's a lot more than this, are bitterness, recklessness, and skepticism and doubt, which is kind of like the same thing. In my practice, and what I'd like you to consider now is, do I have any bitterness? Am I really pissed that I have cancer? My loved one has cancer. I'm just so angry about that. Or am I reckless? Am I like in La La Land about the fact that death is a likely outcome or a common outcome of cancer, and I'm not taking actions that could help me? And am I just so scared of the prospect of death that I doubt that there's any way out or that anything could possibly help? So these are all 3 emotions that keep us from taking spiritual actions, and they keep us from taking physical actions. So we're going to work on them just a little bit right now. The healing of bitterness is when it transforms into poignancy. So the anger and the sadness becomes, life is so precious. And yeah, I hate that it's sad that I can't work on these other projects. I need to work on this project of dealing with cancer. It's really sad because I had other plans for my life, but this life is still so very beautiful. The sun sets, the sun rises, the struggles, there's something really beautiful about that. But you can't get to that transformation without owning your bitterness. All right, so you can't transform something you don't own. Another one is recklessness. And I would say that the healing of recklessness is the transformation into detached but grounded experimentation. So there's like a silver lining to these things, like the impulse to be reckless and go la la la. There's a little bit of wisdom in that, but you want to still be grounded and experimental and noticing, not head in the sand completely. And then the skepticism is, you know, basically a negative placebo effect, where you're disbelieving in things. And I would say the transformation of that is into curiosity, where you don't know, but you're interested. And I feel like that's a much more helpful idea. So we all have, maybe we've all had, or we have some of these emotions in us right now, because they come in waves, all right? We think they're done, and they come up with another flavor. So I'd like us all to first acknowledge that we indeed have a certain state of our souls. Okay, and you can be 99.9% blissful and okay with everything, but there's almost always a little bit of a shadow lingering. And even if it's a little teeny tiny shadow, I want you to acknowledge that it's there. Okay? A little radical self-acceptance. And while you're doing that, just so you're seeing it as a fulcrum for healing. You're not seeing it as something to indulge in and just get thrown off into the energetic bushes with. We're just looking at this emotional suffering thing that's happening. And I'd like you to feel it and amplify it a bit if it's small. If it's already big, you don't need to amplify it. But if you're feeling pretty equanimous today and you're like, I guess I have still a little bit of bitterness. I'm pissed that I can't write my book and I'm sitting here researching cancer cures all the time. Or I'm like, I guess I do kind of doubt that anything will work, but I'm just sort of showing up anyway, but really not believing that anything could possibly help. So you just notice that. And now I'd like you to do that while you spin this disc or ball of light behind your head. And I'd like you to, I'm going to be quiet for 1 minute. So before the minute starts, I'd like you to get your ball of light spinning. And I'd like you to feel the emotion that you would like to transform. But you're not spinning the ball to transform it. You're spinning the ball so that you can separate from it a little bit. So you can be doing something else while you're just watching it. Okay, and you don't know if it's going to get bigger or worse. All right, and now I'd like you all to, I'm going to be quiet for 1 minute, and I'd like you to just witness this emotion while you're spinning and notice if it morphs and changes into something else. Now, how do you witness it? You either feel it as a feeling, or you see it as a shadow. You somehow experience it. Okay, and this is what I get very granular with my private patients, and don't quite know how to do it as a group. So thank you for experimenting with me. All right, here comes the minute. On your mark, set, go. Okay, and if you can, type in the chat what you felt happened. Did something change? This might be kind of a new thing for some of you, so you might not have actually done it. You might want to re-listen to the video and do it. But it's basically you find a negative emotion and you sit with it and you spin and you watch it. You witness it. You don't try to suppress it. You don't try to make it go away. You really try not to judge it as right or wrong or good or bad. Especially since one of the causes of theoretically one of the causes of cancer is emotional trauma. Almost always there will be negative emotion as the healing happens. So I'm trying to train you to be present with it without suppressing it and without really indulging in it fully, because if you have the wherewithal to spin while you're witnessing it, you're not quite as embedded in it. You automatically have a freer stance to it, and that is our human power for healing, is our freedom. I feel like that's what gets us out of the matrix. Okay, good. Nell says it feels like an analgesic all through my system. Nice. Greg says there's a change in perception and emotion while watching and spinning, a lessening of fear. Okay, then you just flipped up. Dorothy says it helps take the fear out of the emotion, somehow melt into it. Sophia says her heart wasn't as heavy. Okay, great. All right, so enough of you felt something. If you didn't feel anything, watch this again. Okay, so now let's go into our guided visualization. If you're watching this on YouTube, this is where we stop the video, and you get to join us if you want for free over at the Spirit Gate Cancer Support Facebook group. Just want to create an energetic container where somebody has to take the initiative of signing up for a Facebook group. I seriously, that's why I do it. It's not so that, as you can tell, I don't do a lot.